Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with the Cripple. I'm your host, the Cripple, and today we're going to be making something that I've recently just discovered. It's called egg in a basket, iggy in a basket. It's called a lot of different things. You guys are a little crooked. But we're also going to be making one of my personal favorite things, canned bread. And yes, there is such a thing as canned bread. But you're gonna need a sauce with this, so I have some beans here that I would really like to try. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna preheat your oven for 350 degrees, and then you're going to take your canned bread and wrap it up nice and, well, not tight, but nicely in some aluminum foil, and basically make it look like a little package, like this. And then you're gonna place it on a cookie sheet, and you're gonna put it in for, what was the time? That's why I have the can here. But the time for this would be 30 minutes. But we're gonna go with 27 because I like it crispy, but I like it also flaky and nice on the inside. So once this is done, we're going to be focusing on our beans and the iggy in the basket. So I'll be right back. I'm going to put this in the oven and set a timer. Alright, so you're going to need a half or a third. I haven't tried it with a third yet, but I really want to try it with a third cup. And you want to make sure that it's metal rimmed like this, because you're going to take it and... I don't like that side. We're going to do it on this side. This side seems bigger. We're just going to put it right there and... How come this worked off camera, but it's not working on camera? Okay, I need more pressure over here. And then once you get that, you're going to have a mess. You're going to have one of these bad boys. And I think the problem is I normally toast it. And also, if you haven't had enough bread, you can make a little sandwich out of this thing. But I'm going to put this off to the side for right now. You could also use it as a coaster. But, no, don't use it as a coaster. But, so now we've got this. And you want to make sure that your workstation is completely washed off, and mine is. And if you see little black specks, it's because it's the design of the table. Don't worry, I took a wet rag and I washed this down before I started doing this. But so we're gonna throw that aside. Anyways, we're going to not use this hand for anything anymore. But we're gonna take this over to the stove, and then we're going to cook it on it. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go wash both my hands again, and I will see you guys in a minute. Alright, we're back, and we've all washed our hands. So make sure you haven't washed your hands before you started watching this video. Make sure to wash your hands. Ooh, I've still got a scab on that finger. That's not good. But anyways, you want to get this skillet nice and hot, or skillet, pan, whatever it's called. I think this is just a pan. But anyways, you want to get it nice and hot and before you do anything with it. So this will be 5 or 10 minutes into the future. But we're going to get this nice and hot, and then we're going to move on to actually making the egg in the basket. So I will be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Alright, now that our pan is nice and hot, we're going to throw down the bread first. We're going to let it basically bond with the metal, or whatever this is made out of. I really don't know. I never really gave it much thought. But we're going to let that cook for 2 minutes, so it's already been 1. Well, technically no, it hasn't. So we're going to let this cook for 2 minutes, and then we're going to drop in the egg. So I'll see you guys in 2 minutes, or whenever it actually bonds. Alright, it has now been 2 minutes, and I'm going to switch sides really quick, because I usually do this I know I'm gonna have my back to the camera, but I usually do this with my right hand. So. And that is why you want to have your skillet nice and hot, is because it makes it so the yolk doesn't really go anywhere, like it doesn't go whoosh and expand like, oh jeez, I'm getting yolk everywhere. So once again, I'm gonna have to go wash my hands, and I will be right back. You're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes, and I know that seems like a long time, but trust me, it makes it easier to transport it from plate or from pan to plate. So just let it cook for 10 minutes. It might be burnt a little bit, but that's okay. You're either going to cook this for however long it takes it to get slightly burnt on the bottom, or you're going to cook it enough that there's no longer any yellow stuff showing, meaning not the yolk, but the yellow part of the white. So you want the white to actually be firm and, well, white. Because that way you know that it's bonded well with the bread, and at this point, toast. Oh, and another reason why you want this to cook for 10 minutes is because some people flip it. I've tried it flipped, and it tastes really, really good. So I'm going to flip this one. So that's another reason why you want to cook it until it's slightly burned on the bottom, is so that it makes it easier to flip it over. So I will see you guys in 10 minutes, actually 9 at this point, so 9 minutes, and then, yeah, we'll go from there. We'll start working on the beans. Okay then, I had a white bubble about this tall, so we're going to just go ahead and flip this, and it's probably going to be a little black. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just cover your mistakes up with ketchup or some sort of sauce. But we're going to let that cook for 2 minutes on this side, and then be done with it. So I actually gotta stop. I gotta hit stop because you guys don't want to sit here for 2 minutes. Alright, so now we're moving on to the beans, and we're just basically adding in some hot dogs just for some extra flavors, I guess. Like, I say I guess because I don't really have anything else to add in, so it doesn't, I like making stuff like my own. I like making it my own and adding on to the recipe that the recipe is calling for. So that way it's not like, okay, it's not like that one teacher that you knew in school where it's like, okay, we got to learn today, and then all they do is just read from the book. So I'm gonna just keep stirring this, and then we're going to move on to the stuffing stuff that I've got planned out. And yes, this is going to be a very large dish, but that's okay. No big deal. If you can't finish it, then don't finish it. Finish it tomorrow. So I'll see you guys when this is all heated up, because that's all we're really doing is we're heating it up and thoroughly cooking the hot dogs and stuff like that. And I used to have this when I was a kid, and I always like to add in like nostalgic recipes into my cooking. So I'll see you guys in probably 3 minutes. Alrighty, so it's time to get out our canned bread. And yes, that is a thing like I showed you. It's not just from SpongeBob. So we're going to get out our canned bread and set it off to the side to let it cool. And don't burn yourself. But also don't be afraid to cook because you're afraid to burn yourself. That's part of the experience of cooking. You have to learn how to burn yourself before you can learn how not to burn yourself. Like, I hope that makes sense. But anyways, we're going to let that cool off to the side, and we're going to focus on our hot dogs and beans. So all we're really doing is just heating everything up and stuff like that. So you really don't have to do anything. You could add seasoning into it. I think I might try some dill before this is done, but I'm going to let this cook for 10 minutes, and then we're going to move on to the stuffing, or dressing, as some people call it, but it's called stuffing, whatever it is. So, well, on my show it's called stuffing. On your show it can be called dressing. But anyways, we're gonna let this cook for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna start with the stuffing. Alright, so what I've done in a medium saucepan is I've taken 1.5 cups of water and 1/2 stick of butter and placed it in here, and then melted the butter completely. And now we're gonna go over and get the mix. And this is one of the 2 things that I make from a box, but it's okay if you make it your own. So we're going to go over here and grab the thing. Alright, basically all I've done to create this is just pour in the contents and then stir it in. So that's the reason why I didn't show it, is because I didn't think it was that exciting. So we're going to let this stand. We're going to plate our beans and hot dogs. And then we're going to we're going to slice our canned bread about that thick. Well, you can have them as thick as you want. I like mine about that thick. And then we're basically going to make a sandwich out of the stuffing. So I will see you over at the taste test table. Or sooner, depending on how I feel. Or depending on how things turn out. Alright, we've got our little parcel here. It came undone a little bit when I was cooking it, apparently. But that's okay. I love it just the same. And I did let this cool, so that's why I'm being so hands-on and not afraid of it. But, okay, never mind, I am afraid of it, because I was afraid I was going to lose it. I'm not afraid. So we're going to slice it, and the cool thing about it being in a can is it comes with these increments. Like, if you want it 2 increments thick, you cut it right here, and stuff like that. So I'm going to cut it from lid to right there, and then as soon as I get through this, we're going to cut it about that thick again, so about 1 inch, so that's about right there. And then so you just cut it on the next increment that equals the distance you want, which is why I also love cooking canned bread, because it's just so easy and not a lot of people know it exists. I know I keep going back and forth on that one, but I was really surprised, because I've known about this all my life. Or at least when I was a young age. Maybe not all of my life, but ever since I was a young age. So we're going to plate this. We're going to plate it with some of our stuffing, just to see how it turns out. And then we're done. But I've still got to do a taste test. Boom, boom, and boom. Now, first off, put the camera upward. But first, I'm tasting the stuffing right now. You know, it's not half bad for being a box stuffing. And then let's try our little sandwich here. It is a little bready, but that's because like 95% of what's on the plate is bread. But anyways, oh, get out of here. Nobody wants that. But anyways, it is a little bready, but that's because 95% of what's in this dish that I just tried, which is the sandwich right here, it does get a little doughy, but it also, the stuffing adds in a sort of creaminess to it. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be like overpoweringly doughy. You know what I mean? Like really chewy and just not at all good. But I forgot a fork, so I will be right back before I try the eggy in a basket. But now we are moving on to, first we're going to try the beef and we're trying the beans and franks. The dill adds in a flavor I didn't know that I needed in my beans and franks. But now, on to the main event. Where's my knife? The iggy in the basket. That's what British people call it. And I actually saw it in a movie. You probably know which movie it is. I know that you don't want to burn your food, but in this instance, there we go. In this instance, the burntness kind of adds an extra flavor to it. Like, it adds a smokiness to it. And I didn't know that was necessary for this, but it was really good. It was, like, this whole thing was just A+ after A+. But this has been Cooking with the Cripple. I've been your host, the Cripple, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!